Our top story at 6:30 tonight, more trouble involving trains. Renewed focus on safety from both the state and federal levels in the wake of last week's deadly train derailment. Of course, as you know, it was more than a week ago that a Metro North train flew off the tracks in the Bronx, killing 4 people and injuring dozens more. And while that incident involved a curve, the State Department of Transportation is taking some heat tonight on railroad bridge inspections as well. A scathing new report exposes some major shortfalls in the DOT's bridge monitoring program. Our Jennifer Lukey has been combing over the audit all day. She now has the real deal.
There are 38 railroads that own or have maintenance responsibility for nearly 3,000 railroad bridges across the state. It's the Department of Transportation's job to make sure those railroads are truly inspecting the bridges and have a safety plan in place.
A lot of reports were missing, a lot of reports hadn't been filed, a lot of reports didn't have necessary data points in them.
Auditors found that bridge management plans that were on file with the DOT were an average of a decade old.
Railroads really haven't been doing a very good job, and nobody's been holding their feet to the fire.
Most of the big railroads like Amtrak and CSX got their inspection paperwork in, albeit late. But at least 4 other railroads never actually submitted plans, just sent undated memos assuring DOT the inspections had been done, but providing no real proof.
There are a lot of smaller sort of boutique railroads that provide scenic tours that cross over bridges, and those bridges are important. If something happens, on a small railroad or a big railroad, it's going to be, front page news that we weren't doing our job, the state wasn't doing its job in making sure the railroads were inspecting the bridges.
All railroad bridges are required to be inspected annually, yet 90% of the ones listed in the state's database do not include the date of the last general inspection. The Department of Transportation said in its response to the report, quote, "The Federal Railroad Administration adopted new, more stringent bridge safety regulations, which clearly established that the railroads are ultimately responsible for inspecting their own bridges and put in place enforcement mechanisms for noncompliance." But the Comptroller's office says the state law requires the DOT stay on top of this too, and if they want to pass the buck to the feds, they have to go through the legislative process to do it. Jennifer Lukey, CBS 6 News.
The DOT itself is responsible for inspecting 48 railroad bridges that the state owns. DiNapoli's auditors say 8 of those inspections were missed between 2010 and 2012. Without addressing that issue, a DOT spokesman only told us that the agency is on track to complete the annual inspections of all 48 state-owned bridges.